you wake before dawn inside a cramped Roman apartment. The air carries a heavy, bitter chill as the first faint blue light creeps through the wooden shutters. The morning air is freezing, biting at your skin. As you look out into the stone streets below, an unsettling, heavy silence fills the city. For countless generations, this massive metropolis has stood unchallenged. Rome was not just a city, it was the undisputed center of the known world. Its legendary, iron-disciplined legions marched across vast continents, crushing empires and redrawing the maps of the world beneath their sandaled feet. A vast network of stone highways stretched over thousands of miles, seamlessly connecting distant provinces, wealthy merchants, and far-off lands to the beating heart of power. From grand, marble palaces, its absolute emperors issued decrees that dictated the lives, fates, and survival of tens of millions of citizens. But beneath the surface of this eternal grandeur, a dark shift is taking place. Cracks are forming, and something fundamental is beginning to break. An invisible weight hangs over the crowds, an unspoken tension that everyone can deeply feel, even if no one dares to say it out loud. The year is 476 AD, a historic tipping point, though the citizens walking these ancient streets have no idea what is about to hit them. If you were just an ordinary craftsman working in your shop, you wouldn't realize you were living through history. To you, it is just another difficult day. You wouldn't see the grand political collapse. You would simply notice, with growing anxiety, that everyday life was quietly becoming harder and more desperate.
What will we do?
The bustling public markets are noticeably thinner now. The vibrant, chaotic energy is fading, and the stalls are no longer bursting with foreign goods. Down at the docks, the horizon stands empty. Fewer and fewer merchant ships are arriving from the distant, wealthy provinces that once fed the empire. Basic supplies that families once took for granted have skyrocketed in price. Every transaction in the marketplace is now filled with frustration and argument. Essential goods are starting to vanish from the shelves completely, leaving empty stalls, disappointed faces, and a growing sense of vulnerability. The Western Roman Empire still exists. At least, that is the fragile illusion that ordinary people desperately tell themselves to keep the panic at bay. But the bitter truth is that deep, irreversible structural cracks have been quietly widening across the foundations of society for many decades. Dark, ominous storm clouds are gathering over the eternal city. And very soon, those cracks will become absolutely impossible for anyone to ignore. Cruel and heavy imperial taxes lay a crushing financial burden on the shoulders of ordinary families, draining what little wealth they have left. With every passing year, the corrupt state demands that you give more of your hard-earned coin, offering absolutely nothing in return but empty promises.
How we eat.
As the winter bitter cold approaches, many desperate families struggle just to find enough basic food to survive the freezing months in their homes.
We must make this
Treacherous
last.
corruption spreads like a toxic plague through the highest levels of local government, enriching the elites while completely destroying the common people. Day by day, as true justice disappears from the courts, more and more citizens completely lose their lifelong trust in the great laws of Rome. From a distance, to any passing outside traveler, the empire still looks incredibly magnificent and strong, masked by its towering monuments of stone. Yet beneath the beautiful surface of marble and gold, deep structural cracks are spreading rapidly, threatening to bring the entire system down very soon. Frustrated merchants complain bitterly that fewer trade goods arrive each season, leaving their wooden market tables bare and their coin purses empty. The legendary trade routes that once bound the ancient world together are beginning to fracture, isolating distant territories from imperial protection and economic aid. Great highways that were once safely patrolled by elite Roman legions have become incredibly perilous, completely abandoned to growing chaos and lawlessness. Ruthless groups of masked bandits now boldly threaten anyone who dares to travel alone, turning vital commercial highways into terrifying zones of unexpected danger. Terrified by the complete lack of military security, many ordinary citizens stop traveling altogether, locking themselves away within the safety of small towns. In this climate of growing physical isolation, wild rumors spread far faster than actual facts, fueling a sense of panic across the unprotected countryside. In the dark corners of the marketplace, frightened people whisper anxious stories about brutal foreign invasions and devastating military defeats on the far frontier.
Where can we even go?
With the flow of reliable information completely cut off, no ordinary person knows what to believe or who they can truly trust anymore. They only know, with an absolute and haunting certainty, that their daily lives feel far less secure and stable than ever before in memory. As the sun sets, anxious families lock their heavy wooden doors much earlier than before, staring out in silence into the pitch-black shadows. Deep, paralyzing fear becomes an inescapable, constant companion for every single citizen, waiting for the final blow that will change their world forever. Inside the major imperial cities, conditions are deteriorating rapidly, and a heavy air of dark depression settles over the increasingly empty stone streets. Majestic marble buildings that once proudly symbolized unmatched Roman greatness are now showing clear, tragic signs of total structural neglect and weathering decay. Essential public services, which once kept the sprawling cities clean and orderly, have become completely broken and unreliable for the ordinary, tax-paying citizens. The grand, beautiful stone fountains now stand dry and utterly abandoned, forcing poor citizens to carry heavy wooden water buckets through the muddy streets. Vital road repairs are indefinitely delayed by the broken state, leaving critical urban pathways full of deep cracks, rubble, and hazardous potholes. Arrogant government officials stand before the crowds in the forum, loudly promising easy solutions to complex problems they have no intention of fixing. But the tired, cynical crowd reacts with open skepticism, because fewer and fewer people believe a single word their leaders say anymore. To the untrained eye, Rome's majestic skyline at sunset still looks immensely powerful, casting long, deceptive shadows of its former global glory. Yet deep beneath that breathtaking surface, the very foundations of the state are rotting away, unable to support the immense weight of the empire. And just as the economic system begins to buckle, an even greater and more dangerous internal disaster strikes the political heart of Rome. The core of the problem lies in the utter collapse of stable leadership, as desperate greed and raw ambition replace duty to the state. Desperate and corrupt emperors now come and go with truly astonishing speed, rotating through the grand imperial palace like passing seasonal shadows. Some unfortunate rulers manage to wear the golden crown only briefly before being violently overthrown by their own treacherous palace guard regiments. Other weak leaders are merely hollow puppets, completely controlled from the dark shadows by ruthless barbarian generals holding all real military power. In the chaotic streets, ordinary citizens struggle to comprehend who is truly in charge of their lives as laws change from day to day. The absolute, rock-solid stability that once proudly defined the empire completely disappears, replaced by an unpredictable era of total political chaos. Even in these dark times, many desperate people stubbornly believe that Rome will somehow find a secret way to recover its ancient, mythic power. But as the evening sky darkens into an eternal twilight, the bitter reality becomes clear. This time is fundamentally and terrifyingly different. In the fateful year of 476 AD, the fragile illusion of an eternal, unbreakable empire finally shatters into 1,000 pieces. A powerful, battle-hardened Germanic leader named Odoacer marches into the heart of the territory, seizing total control of the imperial state apparatus. The terrified teenager emperor, Romulus Augustulus, is quietly stripped of his purple robes and forced off the grand throne without a single fight. Yet, contrary to modern legends and myths, there is absolutely no dramatic, epic final battle fought at the gates of the crumbling city. There is no massive, catastrophic explosion of violence, and no sudden world-ending collapse that marks the immediate death of the Western world. Instead, the daily life of ordinary people simply continues its familiar, slow routine, largely unaffected by the sudden change in political rulers. In the quiet morning fog, exhausted working families slowly wake up inside their modest homes, lighting small fires to warm the damp air. The local craftsman goes directly to his dusty workshop, focused entirely on his daily manual labor rather than the fall of distant emperors. At noon, a quiet Roman family sits down together to share a simple, meager meal of bread and water around a worn-out wooden table. When night falls, they blow out the flickering candles and sleep, completely unaware that a 1,000-year-old empire has officially died today. Yet, make no mistake. The global colossus that ruled Western Europe for centuries is gone forever, never to rise from its grave again. The majority of ordinary citizens never witness a grand, theatrical ending. They only experience the slow, quiet grinding of historical change. They live through a painful, invisible decline that stretches across entire generations, slowly eroding everything their ancestors built with immense pride. Year after year, the great imperial highways are neglected. Weeds and wild trees slowly break through the ancient, unmaintained stone paving. The once bustling regional markets close down one by one, leaving behind empty plazas where dry winter winds blow through the dust. Sprawling communities become deeply isolated from one another, cut off by dangerous wilderness and the total collapse of all central authority. A lonely traveler walks along a decaying stone road toward a dark horizon as the known world grows smaller, darker, and more primitive. As the sun sets permanently over the haunting, silent ruins of a lost civilization, one terrifying question remains. Could you have survived?